Tonight, Sports Pause closes an era, and we're inviting you to the going away party. Welcome, everyone. I'm John Alba.
And I'm Mark Spillane. Thank you for joining us. Tonight, we have an action-packed show that you will not want to miss.
It's all about the bank tonight, Mark, and while we're not looking for cash, per se, we are looking for highlights.
And we've got them, John. Hockey, basketball, and a few feature pieces to top it all off.
This is the final edition of Sports Pause this semester, and it starts right now. Tom Moore's men's basketball team returned to Hamden after a roller coaster week in the Virgin Islands Tuesday night. While the team faced the likes of Momo Jones, Shabazz Napier, and Sherrod Wright in Paradise Jam, its toughest challenge would come in Lehigh's C.J. McCollum at Lender Court. Would the Bobcats pull off an upset of Duke-sized proportions at the bank? Let's find out. C.J. McCollum, one of the top scorers in the nation, he was looking to do well in this one, and I'm going to...
Now we got to raise our level and play 4 good teams again.
One day after the men's team hosted Lehigh, the undefeated women's basketball squad traveled down the road to face the Yale Bulldogs. Let's see who won this rivalry game. Quinnipiac huddling up, getting ready to take on their rivals, the Yale Bulldogs. First, it's going to be the Bobcats. Quinnipiac would hang on to defeat Yale by the final score of 89-62 and keep themselves undefeated with a 4-0 record. Coach Fabry's team defeated Rhode Island at home 76-60 last Saturday prior to the victory over Yale on Wednesday. Felicia Barron led the way with 17 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, and 3 steals. Following Wednesday's win, the Bobcats traveled to Brown for the Brown Bear Classic, where they defeated New Hampshire 60-53 yesterday and Rider 72-57 this afternoon to win the Brown Classic. Sam Guastella's big day led Quinnipiac yesterday, while Jasmine Martin led the Bobcats in today's contest. The victories improved Quinnipiac's record to 6-0 on the season. They get back on the court this upcoming Saturday when they host Holy Cross.
2 Quinnipiac basketball stars took home Northeast Conference Player of the Week honors to close out the month of November. Even after the 77-66 loss to Lehigh, guard Dave Johnson received the recognition after his performance in the Paradise Jam. Johnson averaged almost 14 points during the tournament and hit a game-tying 3 versus UConn as the clock expired in overtime. The NEC also gave the award to women's team guard Felicia Barron after her 17-point effort versus the University of Rhode Island. Barron is averaging nearly 18.5 points for the undefeated Bobcat squad, along with just under 4 steals per game. She was one of the best in the nation last year, Mark. And, you know, when you get a pass, it's off the dribble. And when we need to discuss basketball, we bring in an analyst. And with that, Arthur Lane joins us to talk Quinnipiac basketball. Arthur, let's start off with the undefeated women's team. Frankly, why have they been so good?
Well, John, I think that you have to look at Felicia Barron first and foremost, averaging 17.3 points a game and also getting 4 steals has been huge. But this year, I think they have a lot more of a balanced attack. You look.
It's time to break up the fast break, but when we come back, we have highlights of women's hockey and its busy weekend versus RPI and Union. Could the Bobcats pick up 2 important conference wins? But we won't stop there. The red-hot men's team was in action on the road against the same schools. Find out what happened next on Sports Pause.
What do you do when opportunity presents itself? Some are given opportunity. Others must go out and make their own. Justin Harris left Paramus Catholic High School in New Jersey in pursuit of an opportunity. That opportunity was to play Division I basketball.
I knew it was going to be a different level, and I was excited and nervous at the same time, but I was ready for the chance to play.
You know, so you're coming from high school. You know, what was going through your mind now you're a freshman, you're fighting for minutes?
I mean, it was sort of the similar situation going into my freshman year of high school. There was a senior-laden team, and I was a young big man. And I think I was more cocky coming into high school because I was playing on great teams, and I thought that my skill level was enough for me to play like varsity high school basketball. And then so by the time I humbled out, by the time I got to college, it was real different because I was behind a lot of good players that were here before me.
Harris found himself behind the likes of Jamie Jackson and Ike Gazetan, and for his first 2 years played sparingly. Going into his junior year, Harris expected that he was going to get his opportunity. What wasn't expected was the emergence of freshman A.J. Sumbry.
It's definitely heart-wrenching when you know that coming into your junior year, it's like, all right, Ike and Us are the set 2 big men because Ike's first league All-Player and Usman's one of the all-time leading scorers, rebounders that come through the school. So it's like you understand that their spot's solidified because they've been producing since they walked in the door. So it was like confusing for me to be put behind a freshman in my junior year. So it was mixed feelings towards the coach and other things like that.
Put in perspective, how frustrating was it those 3 years?
It was extremely frustrating because, I mean, coming from out of high school again, people in the Jersey area that watched basketball, they thought that I wasn't dedicated to the game. They didn't think that like it meant that much to me just by like watching me play in scouts like that. So my whole aspect of like going into what I was doing was that I need to prove these people wrong, and I knew that I could produce at this level, but up to that point I hadn't had any stats, hadn't done anything. I was averaging like point a game, barely playing. So obviously going back home and like, oh, like why aren't you playing, this and that, it's difficult to answer those questions.
Harris was going to make his opportunity in his senior year.
I mean, it's my senior year. I've been around the block for a long time, and I've done almost everything that I could to play. So I understand the ins and outs of what Coach Moore wanted, what the coaching staff wanted out of me, and I knew I had to accept that leadership role because we already had 2 freshmen coming in the like for big men. So it was like I was propelled into that role with Ike leaving, and then there wasn't that second big man to go to really. So somebody had to take over the role, and I was more than confident that I was ready to do it, being a senior.
Once again, it was a new recruit that was given that opportunity. Opening night against Yale, do you feel like you should have started that game?
I had a chip on my shoulder when I realized that I wasn't starting coming out that game, that like I needed to prove that this is my senior year and I'm 100%, 110% dedicated to the team. I'm willing to do whatever it takes for us to win games, and I'm willing to sacrifice to put up numbers and to produce to help us win games. And I think that him starting that first game, that kind of was like, all right, maybe I need to put a little more in practice, to do a little more, because this is my last go around, and like you don't get another chance, I can't come back. So it was like, it hurt, but I knew I had to do something to get that starting spot.
It was only a matter of time until number 22 got that starting spot. After solid performances in the first 2 games, Harris would go on to start Game 3 at Albany, and he would never let go. He would record a career high at Fairfield, scoring 23 points, and he would continue to be an integral part of the team, never relinquishing his starting spot for the rest of the year. What do you take away from these 4 years?
Just persistence. I mean, coming from the situation that I was in, where I was literally in mothballs, sitting at the end of the bench every day, and it got to a point my first 3 years where I came to games knowing that I wasn't going to play, no matter what happened, no matter if somebody got in foul trouble, if somebody fouled out, or if we weren't blowing anybody out by 30 plus points, I wouldn't get into the game until the last couple of minutes. But then realizing that I wasn't satisfied with that, I wanted more out of my college experience, and I wanted to be able to, like, yeah, I played college basketball and I did well.
Do you have any regrets from the 4 years here at Quinnipiac?
Any regrets? I guess I could pinpoint times, maybe, saying that I could have went harder in practice, did this and that. So I guess my only regret was not playing sooner, or not doing what it took to play sooner, because sitting around on the bench for 3 years is not fun, no matter what sport you're playing. So it's like, you gotta understand that these moments are short and you gotta cherish them, but you also gotta understand that you can't get too excited and enveloped in the emotions of everything, that you let it just zoom right by and you don't realize what's going on.
Harris is now searching for opportunities to play overseas and to continue to pursue the sport that he says means everything to him. For Q30 Sports, I'm John Small.
The snap of the ball, the clashing of bodies, the roar of the crowd, all lead to an exciting night at the local football field. But under the glimmering Friday night lights, something more sinister lies in the shadows. Injuries are prevalent in the sport, but it is concussions and hits to the head that have people concerned.
There's been a point of emphasis to try to avoid concussions as much as possible. That's why we go with no helmet-to-helmet contact and that sort of thing. That we try to be as safety conscious as possible when we're on the ball.
Rules have been put in place at the high school level of the sport in an effort to make the game safer. In the case a player sustains a concussion or is suspect, the referee has a protocol they must follow. If a referee has any doubt about a player's condition, they have the right to send them to the sideline.
The rule is that they are not supposed to be sent back in without medical clearance. And if they're sent back in, it is our assumption that they've done the right thing on the sideline.
The concern lies with the ability to initially diagnose the concussion.
When you go down to your local high school, they may not even have an athletic trainer on staff. They're definitely not going to have a doctor on the sidelines in most cases. So therefore, when somebody sustains a concussion, are they getting the proper care and are they getting the proper attention? That's my concern.
Where the game in general is not lagging behind are attempts at improving the playing equipment used in the game. However, Botto believes that won't solve the issue.
There are myths out there that the helmet would prevent concussions. The helmet was designed to prevent skull fractures. There's nothing right now that prevents a concussion out there.
What does this mean for the sport in local communities? Could we see a shift in the public's attitude towards the game? Co-director of Quinnipiac's Sports Studies minor Philip Cunningham believes that this may not be the case for some communities.
I think right now the attitude still remains, hey, listen, we don't want the institution of football to go away. For many towns, the Steubenville, Ohio's of the world, where football is the lifeblood of those cities, you're probably not going to see, concussions really make that big of a difference.
Knowing the potential risks of playing a contact sport like football, would a parent feel comfortable sitting in the stands as their child takes the field?
If I were to have a child, I don't think in good faith I could actually send my son out there to play.
If they were high school age, I would discourage them, but, if you want to play, you're making a decision there. I would try to make sure that they were as safe as possible.
I have 4 children, 2 of them are boys, and they've asked to play football, and at this time, I've pushed them towards other sports. It's not because I think football is a bad sport. It's not because I don't think football because of the concussion issue. It's one aspect of it. Football is a violent sport.
Yes, I would, because I couldn't imagine anyone telling me that I couldn't play when I played.
For Q30 News, I'm John Small.
They say college commencement is both a beginning and an end. However, for many recent graduates, there is something more imposing than their tassel hanging overhead. Nationally, student debt now exceeds $1.1 trillion. New research released by the Federal Reserve Bank of New York shows that a quarter of college graduates with jobs are earning barely more than those who only have a high school diploma. Thousands graduate from a wide range of schools in the state, including expensive schools like Yale, Quinnipiac, and Fairfield University. Quinnipiac's School of Communications boasts a nearly 89% total placement rate, with roughly 70% of the class of 2013 currently being employed.
We're able to say, well, look at the placement statistics. Look at where our students are interning. Look at where students are getting jobs. We can say these things confidently and have the data to back it up. I mean, the numbers don't lie.
Individual schools within UConn and Yale also have high placement percentages. Southern Connecticut State's Career Services website even has a section titled Jobs in a Tough Economy.
You make an enormous investment into this college education. We want you to make really informed decisions. You find yourself not at the end of 4 years saying, I should have done this.
ROI, or return on investment, is the number that many people point to when discussing whether a degree from a school pays off or not. Payscale.com's 2013 rankings show that out of qualifying schools, only 3 universities in Connecticut are outside the top 50% for 30-year net return on investment.
Though all of this data shows that a degree from a local school may be financially worth the cost, the current state of the economy may be throwing graduates a curveball.
According to the Wall Street Journal, accompanying research by the New York Fed also shows that Americans with college degrees are still finding jobs that require only a high school level education. Reports of diverging returns on investment for a 4-year degree come as the economy has been churning out more jobs for those without college degrees than for college graduates. There are some who believe that a degree is required for certain fields.
In our field of communications, it's virtually impossible to get a job without an academic degree. It's not necessarily because that degree bestows magical powers on the student. It's the coin of the realm.
Though some professionals feel that they could do their jobs without the need of a college education.
Coming out of high school, I could have done what I'm doing now, as far as what I knew, but I think the years of being older and being more mature and more able to handle things, I think that was what really was more valuable.
Colleges need to look hard at what they do and figure out how to preserve that value argument, to say that you go to college, you're going to learn skills, you're going to grow, that you're going to be a better person, you're going to learn how to think.
Perhaps it's the college experience itself that makes the investment worth it. For Q30 News, I'm John Small.